The Treasure Coast Lexus Studios, your home for Rudy Howard's African American scene on WPSL. Treasure Coast Lexus, US 1, south of Midway Road.
The views expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of WPSL, but you are encouraged to like and share them on Facebook because, friends, it's Wednesday night. And every Wednesday night in the 6 o'clock hour, you can tune in to the African American scene presented by Howard Insurance of Port St. Lucie and hosted by Rudy Howard.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. Always glad to be with you here on a Wednesday night. Phew-wee! I guess we just went through a hair-raising event, and pleased to say I came through okay. Lost a couple of screen panels around the pool, and a tree in the front of my house broke a piece off, but otherwise okay. My dog was having a nervous breakdown, but, you know, I guess that's to be expected. But anyway, if this is the first time you've listened to me, let me give you the official protocol. This is open mic tonight. I give you topics. I come back and give you some background on those topics. And I encourage you to call up and comment on the topics that I lay out. And then tonight, if you have something else you want to talk about, please feel free to do so. I'm pretty knowledgeable about a lot of different things, if I say so myself. Okay, topic number 1, Hurricane Irma. Hurricane Irma. Couple different things that I'd like to talk about with Hurricane Irma. Topic number 2, State of Florida versus and St. Lucie County. Give them a grade for how they handled the pending storm. State of Florida and St. Lucie County.
St. Lucie County and Martin Counties, EOC.
Yeah.
OMG.
Yeah. Yeah.
They did something. They had their live updates on Facebook. We were able to carry them live.
Yeah. I got phone calls. I got a phone call 4:30 in the morning from Port St. Lucie giving me an update. Pretty interesting. It was pretty awesome. Topic number 3. Our government is in deep trouble. Very deep trouble, and I'm going to tell you why.
Hip boots will not help.
No. Topic number 4, claim questions. For those of you that don't know, I started my career as a claims adjuster. I started out as a investigator of casualty claims and workers' compensation claims and disability claims. And I eventually became a claims manager. I was a claims manager in New York City. I had 90 people, 3 assistant managers, and 17 supervisors. I handled every aspect of claims that you can think of, from large settlements to big fire losses. And at one point, I was a property adjuster for a few years. So I don't think there's any question you can ask me about a claim that I can't answer. So if you have questions, please pick up the phone and call me. I probably have an answer for you. I'm a little rusty, but I'm sure I have an answer for you. Topic number 5. Why are you down on the DACA people? I'm not sure I understand that. I'm not sure I understand that. I want to understand why you're down on them. And then finally, number 6. Is the browning of America bothering you? You know, that's happening. There's nothing you can do about it, you know. So if the browning of America is bothering you, please give me a call. And the phone number is 340-1590. That's 340-1590.
Have you met my granddaughter?
Ah.
Mm-hmm.
So let's start with Hurricane Irma. Let me share this with you, and I shared this with you on Facebook today after my church sister, Narissa, brought it to my attention. And I thought it was very appropriate, and I told her I was going to talk about it tonight. It seems that when we're in a crisis, we are able to set aside our differences and help each other. And then as soon as the crisis passes, we go right back to being self-centered and selfish all over again. So why is that? Why do you think that is, that we can help each other and then all of a sudden we lapse right back into the same old self-centered, selfish stuff? And we got John on line one. Yes, John.
Hey, I'm calling about first the second thing. I think the St. Lucie City and County did a great job. I got kept constantly with emails from Eric Gill and the city about what was going on and what I should do, and I think they could be commended for what they did.
I agree with you 100%, John.
You got a standing ovation over here at this radio station, those guys.
They were awesome.
Yeah, I listened to WPSL, but I got a lot of information off the internet.
Yeah.
If I want anything over my phone, I could get it also.
Yeah.
And they should all be commended because this was amazing.
It was awesome.
Now the first subject, I mean, I've been working all day yesterday and ever since hurricane, and I got well prepared. I have 3 generators, an air conditioner put in the window, and what upsets me is I don't mind giving my my generator, to people that don't have electricity, which I've done. But when I get to people's houses, and I had 3 of them, once I got electric back, I start volunteering the generators. I get tired of helping the helpless. I mean, I get this one people, they don't have nothing there. They didn't prepare at all. And I'm thinking, what is going on in your mind? I mean, why don't you prepare? Everybody, WPSL, all the radio stations, TV stations, telling you how to get prepared, and they just sit there like dummies. Now they're staying at my house tonight. You know, I'm thinking, what is wrong with you people?
You know, sometimes people are paralyzed by fear.
I think there's some truth to that, but John, let me commend you. You reached out and you tried to help somebody. I mean,
it's not always fun to do that, but it needs to be done, and you've done it, and you need a little bit of appreciation for that.
Absolutely.
Well, my generators right now, the first one's on third house already. So I mean, there's a lot of people in this town that don't have electricity, and people don't realize that. But I mean, I'm willing to help them out with electricity. But when you say we don't have any water, I'm thinking people have been preaching that for 2 weeks. Go get your water.
I swear. Yeah. Well, thanks for calling, John.
And a thank you would probably be nice if you could get one from him.
Yeah, John. You're a good man.
We'll thank you on that.
I'll thank you for helping a fellow citizen.
I need the praise. I just think that the city and the county have done a great job, and that's my main thing.
It takes everybody, including you, John, and you've done it.
Yep.
Thank you.
And we got Terry on line 2. Yes, Terry.
Okay, let me get this button to push right. And Terry is with us.
I want to be the first to tell you that I don't want to send the DACA people back.
Okay.
I'm having trouble hearing you. What I do want to do is have them treat like I was treated when they came up with the draft. They told me go into the Army or go to jail or go to Canada. Are you hearing me?
Yes, I remember that very well. I'm old enough to remember when that was happening.
Instead of the Army, go to a civilian conservation corps and go up to some state like Montana and build what needs to be built for 5 years with government assistance. And 5 years, they become an American citizen. No problem. What do you think of that?
Well, we have a program like that called AmeriCorps. And people can go in, but there's no guarantee of citizenship at the end of the rainbow. And I think that's an awesome idea, that kids could join AmeriCorps. And also, the AmeriCorps program gives you scholarship money, so kids can get scholarships to go to college. And at the end of 5 years, become an American citizen. I'd be up for that. I think that's a perfectly good solution.
Wow.
One more thing. When one of your callers mentioned the white Supremes carrying guns, I have an explanation for that.
Okay.
And that is, as I understand it, they are a well-regulated militia. Maybe they live in barracks, maybe they don't. But that's why they can carry guns legally, and anybody who's got 50 or 60 people can form a well-regulated militia and carry guns. It's as simple as that, according to the Constitution.
When that language was put in the Constitution,
According to the Constitution.
Well, I agree.
The Second Amendment.
I agree. But I'm just saying, when that language was written, it did not contemplate the state of affairs as they exist today. I wonder if our founding fathers would have agreed to the Second Amendment when people can buy AK-47s and AR-15s and 9mm that can shoot 15 rounds. I would bet my right arm, without any question in my mind about this, that under today's conditions, they would not have wanted to put that language in the Constitution. That's
up for debate. What the founding fathers wanted is not known to me. Another thing on that Charlottesville thing, the only big problem he had was that kid running into a group standing in the street, and the people standing in the street were college women who like to make trouble. I know I'll get calls on that. My mother told me, Terry, don't play in the street. You'll get run over. And I see that in Chicago where they stand out on I-94 waiting for a big-ass truck to hit them. What do you think?
I think that when people are protesting, the part of the reason why you protest is to create disruption. And peaceful protests is perfectly okay with me. But I got to let you go, Terry, because I got another caller.
All right, bye.
Thank you, sir. And we got Steve.
What is your first name?
Yeah. So we have Steve.
No. Somebody put the phone on their radio, so I was hearing you and Terry talking on this other line.
Okay.
You see, there's a delay. We use a delay, and
okay, so they got
so
confused.
we're prepared. But
okay.
But wow.
Well, Steve called back. Well, anyway, that's one of those crazy things that because she stood in the street, I guess because she stood in the street to protest, she deserved to be hit. I'll never.
That's a justification.
Well, I'll never buy that. But anyway,
Steve called back. I think Steve was on there, and he had set the phone down, and because we never know how long the next call is going to be or whatever. So,
okay,
Steve, your spot was reserved, and it's still waiting for you. So just call back. We don't know which Steve it was either.
Yeah. Well, on Hurricane Irma, again, I'm going to reiterate. And John was a perfect example of that. In a crisis, we seem to be able to put all our differences aside and help our fellow neighbor. The crisis goes away, and then we all go back to our own tribes and become tribal. It's just absolutely unbelievable. The crisis comes, we leave the tribe, and come to the town center and try to help each other survive. The crisis passes, and we all go back to
we forget each other.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh.
So, and now let me talk about this, one of my other topics here. And I'm sure this is going to disturb some people. Our government is in deep, deep trouble. Deep trouble. And I'm going to tell you why. Our government was set up to handle debates. But we don't debate. But the government was set up to do that. That's why we have the three separate branches of government. And we're not debating. The second thing is there's a certain amount of civility that is expected from the people in government positions. So, and that seems to have been gone. You know, especially the deliberative body, the Senate, there is a certain amount of gentlemanliness, gentlepersonness that is supposed to take place in the Senate, but it doesn't. And this was all part of the framework of the Constitution. And we're just ripping it to pieces. Members have to spend far too much time raising money in order to run for these particular positions. That's problematic. And because they have to spend so much time raising money, they end up putting themselves in a position of being beholden. And here's where I really get really ticked off at my conservative friends. They hate the unions because the unions, they feel, support democratic principles and support Democrats. Well, my God, the lobbyists spend 20 times the amount of money as unions, but they don't say anything about that. It's okay for the lobbyists to put money in the coffers of politicians, but it's not okay for the unions. Now, just somebody explain that logic to me. That illogic logic makes no sense.
I can spell it. H-Y-P. Never mind.
Yes, I would say. And one of the key components of a successful democracy, our republic, is compromise. All of a sudden, after all these years, compromise has become a four-letter word. You can't compromise. If you are considered to compromise, you're considered weak.
Yeah, there's no shame in compromise. Now, compromise can correct a mistake when one occurs. You know?
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with compromise. Just imagine you would never have a settlement if there was no such thing as compromise. Because everything would have to go the full length of a trial because nobody could sit down at the table. But now I will tell you, having done this myself on multi-$1,000 casualty cases, you start with a point of agreement. Can we agree on this or can we agree on that? That's where you start. Okay, you say, okay, all right, I agree. I agree the liability in this case is 80-20 or 20-80 or whatever the case. Now we're going to start there. Okay, all right, so now we got that agreement. We set that aside, and now we start trying to work on the monetary damages. But we've at least come to some kind of agreement. We can't even compromise because if you compromise, you are considered to be wimpy. Okay? There are too many disrespectful tricks that have gone on in the government, which I think are in very poor taste. And all it does is create a sense of hostility and makes the other side want to do the same thing. What McConnell did to Merrick Garland was disgraceful. That made me as angry as some things, as few things have made me in my life. That was just pure spite. I'm going to poke a stick in President Obama's eye and not let him have this rightful appointment to the Supreme Court. That's wrong. And it creates now I got to pay you back. And And I'm usually not the guy that wants to do that. But in this particular case, it's like, I think we got to pay him back. And we have Jay on line 1. Yes, Jay.
Oh, good. How you doing, Rudy?
Okay.
I'm just listening to what you're saying, and I'm thinking about what's going on now with our president and Russia. And I was looking at a movie last night with John Garfield, and he was brought up on an Un-American Act because they tried to say he was a communist.
Yes.
He lost. He became blackballed, and he was one of my favorite actors when I used to watch, the old movies on Turner Classic Movie.
Yeah.
And I was listening to a guy talk about how that was his last movie because he was blackballed, and here we got people that ran for office and was cooperating with Russia to overturn and to change our election so Trump can be president. And it's like you look at these people that voted for Trump, it's like it never happened, like it's not that important. And when you look back at what Russia was doing and what they've probably been doing for a long time is, interfering with a lot of things that are happening. And I said, but where does your alliance, where does it stop? With the political, with your, with the way what you believe in, and being an American citizen, and knowing Russia was always our adversary for. I look at it, when I look at that movie, The Manchurian Candidate.
Yep.
It's art imitating life, and this is what we got. And whoever wrote that script for that movie was really looking at the future of this country, and it's actually happening right before our eyes. And anybody watch the Manchurian Candidate movie? They say, "Oh, that was made." No, it wasn't made up. That's real, and it actually happened in 2016.
Yeah.
Okay, and maybe some people might think that's well, that's a joke. Oh, that's just a movie. No, we're talking about real life. How Russia interfered and colluded, and we have people in our country that just sold out the country, and there was a time that they would be brought up on treason. For this kind of nonsense. I know a lot of people don't like to talk about that, and they back up. They get a little afraid about the word treason, but it's very close to it. And I can see the handwriting on the wall. The money trail is going to be the downfall of this president and the people all around him. His son,
no question.
Because,
I said no question.
The money trail, because you got some of the most smartest lawyers working in that prosecutor's office. That's all they do is look at money laundering and all the other stuff that goes on with Russia, with those billionaire oligarchs that come in and trying to, get their money, run their money through the United States, and whoever needs money, they loan it to them, and they do things and build buildings and condominiums and all that kind of stuff. And it's all documented. And these people are these lawyers working in the prosecutor's office. That's all they do. That's their main. The thing is, being lawyers, they follow the money trail, and I don't think most people understand. He's got a whole bunch of stuff on him right now, and that's why Trump is backing up. He's trying to find a way how to get Mueller out of there. But if he does that, it'd be worse than Watergate.
Oh, it would be, yeah. But you know what? I have said, Jay, and I'm going to say it again, for all of my audience to log in, I don't think he's going to make it to the first of the year. I do not think he's going to make it till January 1st.
Especially when there are great lawyers out there making treason a constitutional right.
Yeah.
And Facebook. I don't know if you know that Facebook had some dealings. Russia used them to use for propaganda. They bought. In other words, they spent millions of dollars in Facebook to spread propaganda against Hillary Clinton.
Yes.
It just came out.
Yep.
Facebook denied it. And they knew what they did, but instead of telling the truth and saying, "Look, we're an American, company. We need to, come clean so we can get this thing beyond, get it past us." They didn't do that. They got caught by those same people that's working in Mueller's office. They got caught red-handed because they lied about it, and now they're probably going to be brought up on one of those Senate commissions or the House commission. That's investigating this stuff of what Russia did, and it's kind of nasty and bad for a company that's doing business, supposed to be one of the most prominent companies in the United States, to stoop that low, to do that just to get a few bucks.
Well, Jay, thank you for being a faithful
listener.
You, sir. We're going to take a break.
I want to let people know, open up their eyes and start thinking a little bit.
Yes, sir.
What's more important, party or country?
There you go. Boy, I agree with that 100%.
Ooh, good stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Take care, sir.
Okay, Jay. we're going to take a break. Don't touch that dial because we're going to be back with the African American scene. And if you have questions or comments, that number is 340-1590. And remember, you can call me and ask me anything you want with respect to claims.
Because he is an insurance guy.
Yeah.
That's right. In fact, here's a little more on that.
Serving the entire Treasure Coast, Howard Insurance and Associates in Port St. Lucie offers a wide variety of insurance products, along with the very best customer service. Whether you're shopping for the best homeowners coverage at the most affordable value, contact Rudy Howard's team at Howard Insurance and Associates. If you need coverage for your vehicle, call Howard Insurance and Associates, 343-9878. That's 343-9878. Maybe you're planning to add a boat, motorcycle, or RV. Call Howard Insurance and Associates for your free quote at 343-9878 and get the coverage you need at a cost that will fit your budget. For home or business, auto or recreational vehicle, choose Howard Insurance and Associates, 600 Southwest Darwin Boulevard, Suite 206, Port St. Lucie. And for your free rate quote, call them at 343-9878, 343-9878. WPSL Digital 1590 presents CBS Storm Track Weather.
Hey, Treasure Coast, I'm CBS 12 meteorologist Jeff Baradelli. So we've had a couple of days of drier air, but that's pushing out now and that moisture is returning, and that means a return to normal with those scattered showers and storms. So you forecast tonight an early shower or storm. After that, we'll see partly cloudy to mostly clear skies. Low temperatures in the mid-70s. During the day tomorrow, we'll start with sunshine, but clouds will build, and there's a much better chance of scattered afternoon showers and thunderstorms. High temperatures right around 90. Then a little bit of drier air returns for Friday and Saturday, so a little more sun, a few less storms. High temperatures in the upper 80s. I'm CBS 12 meteorologist Jeff Baradelli in the CBS 12 Storm Track Center for WPSL Digital 1590, the talk of the Treasure Coast.
Thank you, Jeff. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, WPSL Digital 1590 and News 12, the ones to turn to on the Treasure Coast for up-to-date weather and news.
We now return to the African American scene, brought to you by Howard Insurance. Here once again is your host, Rudy Howard, who happens to be an insurance guy. You'd take an insurance question or two if they came in tonight?
Sure. Any kind of insurance question.
That's right.
Let me have it. I can probably answer it.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's going to be a lot of adjusters out there first after a storm like this. The adjusters have to come when a claim is filed. The adjuster has to come out and check out everything and assess the damage, right?
That's correct.
And what else can folks expect when they call in with a claim for storm damage?
Well, what the adjuster is going to do, depending upon your policy provisions, first thing they're going to do is try to match up the replacement cost value that you claimed versus the replacement cost value they're able to compute themselves. Now, why is that? Because many of the policies have a provision that you have to be insured to 90% of replacement cost value. So they'll start with that, okay? So that's the first thing they'll do, and then they'll begin the claims adjustment process. And then they'll take a look at your policy provisions to see whether you have actual cash value or replacement cost value. And we have James on line one. Yes, sir. To see whether you have.
Turn your radio down, please, James, and speak with your phone.
Turn it off.
There you go.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Hi, Rudy.
How you doing?
You're a Democrat, right?
I am.
How come you can't let the thing go that you lost?
Where are you coming with that?
You guys lost the election.
Okay.
Now, another thing. I'll bet you $1,000 he does make it to the first of the year.
Well, I'm not going to bet you $1,000, but I don't think he will.
You want to bet on it?
And I'm not going to bet you $1,000. First of all, I don't think it's legal to do that here on the radio station. But let me tell you why I don't. If President Obama had been guilty of the things that Donald Trump has been already cited for, you guys would have burned down the White House, grabbing women by their private parts, married 3 times and 3 mama's babies. I'm telling you, if that had been President Obama, y'all would have went to the White House and burnt it down. And no matter what he seems to do, you find it acceptable. And I find that in direct conflict with the strong Christian values that my conservative friends tell me that they have.
Well, Obama should have been impeached himself.
For what?
Bill Clinton was impeached, but it didn't do any good. Well, it didn't even matter, did it?
But see, this is why I was talking about our government is in trouble. What should Obama been impeached for? Give me a specific thing that he did against our government.
Here's the thing. Obama was in power for 8 years.
Tell me what he... No, we're not going to play that game. If you're going to say you think Obama should have been impeached, tell me why you think he should have been impeached.
Well, I can't answer that.
Oh, I'm not surprised. We're going to go to the next caller. We got Steve on line 2. Yes, sir.
How you doing? Just got back from Michigan.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I started a new business, T-shirt. First one I had printed up that says "Fake President, Real Liar." That's going to sell. I got a bunch of them.
You're going to call Swap Shop in the morning, right?
What's that?
You're going to call Swap Shop in the morning and sell some T-shirts, right?
Well, I'm going to be selling them online and everything. Me and a guy up there got together. He's a screen printer, screener.
Yeah.
So we've got a bunch of them. Donnie the Commie, all kinds of stuff. But I wanted to talk to you about the Second Amendment. I'm tired of it, so I want a tank.
Okay.
If it says you can have anything, and these people want to have 50 calibers and all that, then a tank is just a single shot. So, it's not a fully automatic, but what's their problem? If our forefathers knew the armaments that we have, they wouldn't even have put a Second Amendment in there.
I agree with that, Steve. You heard me say that earlier.
But these people you're calling, they're nuts. I mean, they're the Ku Klux Klan rejects. They're so nuts. I get tired of hearing it. So now when these people give me the Fox News one-sentence, headline, I jump into them like you just said to that guy. Give me one example of what Obama did to be impeached.
I know what he did. You know what he did? He was reelected. He did a second term is what he did.
That's right. And he saved this country. And anybody that doesn't think he didn't, they better take a look at what it was and what it is.
Hey, you saw what happened when I pushed him down and said, no, I don't want rhetoric. Give me a specific thing that he did that would have had him impeached.
That's what I say. I say, I don't want to hear your Fox soundbite. Give me a fact. Give me one fact on any of these subjects. Oh, he's ruined this country. He did? He got 40 million people insured? He brought the stock market to 18,000. Unemployment went down to 5% under him? That's ruining the country?
Saved the auto market. Killed Osama bin Laden. He was just a horrible president, wasn't he?
You got to understand, you're dealing with 3 or 4% of the population that should be under psychiatric care. And unfortunately, Thomas Eagleton, remember when he ran for vice president?
Yeah.
And he said he had mental health issues. Oh, I love his answer. He said, I knew I had a problem and I got help with it. Just think of the guys in Washington that have a problem and never get help with it.
Yeah.
Well, that's the guys that call in, that 2 or 3% of hardcore that they don't know what they're talking about. They're just soundbite, smart, factual, stupid.
Well, and what they've done is, and it's really horrible, and it's part of what I think has really put our government in such a bad position. People don't think now. They listen to Fox, they listen to Rush, and then they get their talking points. And then they don't ever check to see whether or not any of the stuff is true. They
called
just
parrots.
just accept
Parroting.
it as truth.
Well,
And-
you know what they don't think of also is the head of Fox got dismissed for being a sexual deviant.
Right.
Or Rotten O'Reilly got dismissed for lying.
Right.
They kept Limbaugh on. He's on his fourth sham marriage, a drug addict. You know, he was caught with drugs. And I think he's in the closet myself. But, you know, they worship those guys. And I'm going, are you crazy? And, you know, Trump, now we know the Russians fixed the election. So now we need to fix the voting system.
Yeah.
And I heard this morning, I was in Detroit, and a guy got on the talk show, and he said, you know, they can pay $1,000 for an iPhone, but they can't go out and register to vote and vote. But they can get on the iPhone all day.
$300 tennis shoes.
They can do everything. But I'll let somebody else talk, but it's just driving me crazy with the Second Amendment thing. Ask these guys, did you ever serve
Yeah.
in our military? Did you ever defend the country?
Yep.
You get a big fine, no. So, you know, keep up the good work.
Thank you, Steve.
You
Thank
take
you.
care.
Thank you for being a faithful listener. He's one of my faithful listeners.
Well, you know, some of us have enough common sense, though, to not really discredit something that you know nothing about.
Yes.
You know, like, well, an example we've used on this show before. Okay, I'm a white guy. I have no idea what it's like for a black kid to grow up in America, but I've heard about it. I know what's going on. I've seen some of it, but I don't know it because it's never happened to me. So why would I want to be complacent and think that that stuff doesn't happen just because it's never happened to me?
Well, and
how can I
unfortunately, unfortunately, most people lack your reasoning, which is part of what Steve is just talking about.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and let me say here this, especially with you're talking about justice. Growing up as a little kid in Philadelphia, my father used to tell me these stories about what the police would do to us. And he would tell me as I was becoming a teenager, and he would say, you know, you better be careful, because I still had a lot of family in Philly, and I used to go see my grandmother. And he used to say, listen, when you go over there, I want you to stay away from this area or this area, because if they catch you over there, they beat you to smithereens.
And now you try to tell your son about that, a world that he's never seen. So things have changed just at some point. It's such a slow, gradual change. It's a process, not an event.
Yes, he doesn't see that because of the friends that he has.
Mm-hmm.
Now, and in Port St. Lucie, I would also say that he's extraordinarily lucky because I have not really seen a case of prejudicial policing in Port St. Lucie. I've seen some stuff at Fort Pierce, but I haven't seen anything in Port St. Lucie. That's not to say that there isn't. I'm just saying I haven't seen it. Okay? So now, but here's the frustration. We've told you for years it exists. Now you have video cameras.
Everybody has them, yeah.
The video cameras have shown you that this stuff is taking place, and you're still telling us no.
After looking at the evidence.
And your response is, what about Chicago? Well, hell, that's no response. You act like Chicago represents every black community in the United States of America, which is ridiculous. That's the only argument you can say is, well, the black people killed the black people in Chicago. Okay. Do all the black people in the United States live in Chicago? If not, that's a stupid argument. It makes no sense. But nevertheless, you see the video evidence. You see people gunned down in the street. Look, the
news reporters have to report the news because everybody's gone viral with something.
Yeah.
With
so now you're telling me, but think about what you're doing. You're now trying to tell me what I see is not what I'm seeing. You talk about frustration. You're telling me what I am seeing is not what I'm seeing after we've been told you for years. Now, fortunately, not everybody feels like that. I have some friends who have said, even I have one really conservative friend who said, it pains him, but he has to say, there's a problem with the justice system. I was like, yes, I got you.
Like pulling teeth getting him to admit that.
Yeah, it was hard. I worked really hard to get him to admit to that. But he even admitted, and he's very conservative. He says, yes, there's a problem with the justice system. Okay, all right, fine. But anyway, that's.
Well, the first thing you'd want to do in order to resolve a problem is to first admit that the problem exists.
Exactly.
Then guess what? We can all work it out.
Easy. Listen, when I've been asked to give talks. And sometime when I've given talks, and this is where I start with, black people make up about 12% of the nationwide population. They are 46% of the prison population. Forget the details. Let's forget details. We don't need to examine why, how come, what for. That statistically does not make sense. That 12% of the people make up 46% of the prison population. And then on top of that, they do not commit the most crimes. White people commit the most crimes.
But you see, they can plea bargain, or they can hire an expensive attorney, where most folks can't afford an attorney. Well, white folks too.
And listen, I read the new Jim Crow by Michelle Alexander, and one of the things that happens to poor black kids is when they get them in there, they tell them, if you don't agree to this plea,
that's right.
Okay, we'll give you 6 years. If you don't agree to this, and we have to take it all the way, you might get 25 or 30 years.
Yep.
So
they scare them.
Really bad. Scare them.
So their decision is made under duress. Isn't that illegal? Is that a constitutional violation?
Well, and let's be honest. Part of the other thing is they're helping fill the prisons that are for-profit prisons.
Yes, they make a lot of money. States make a lot of money off their own prison systems. Yes.
But here's the other part. Most people don't know. When they agree to have a private prison in the state, they have to guarantee them a certain occupancy rate. You see, you didn't know that. So if part of the agreement is that there will be 80% occupancy in the prison, and they come up with 70% occupancy, the state has to give them money.
Do you think judges are helping states make quotas in the prison systems?
Yes. Well, you know, there's a famous case in Pennsylvania where they busted a judge who was sending kids to juvie. It was a paid juvie facility. And they busted him, and he's in jail right now because him and another judge, and they found that they were getting something like $2.5 million over a few years for making sure that the prison had enough kids in it.
Wow.
So, you know, that's a real breakdown in the
So the pressure was guilty verdicts.
Yeah.
For guilty verdicts to put these kids away in order to have this public prison system in place to make money.
Yes, because like I said, and most people don't know this, when a private prison system comes in and agrees to run a private prison in your state, you have to guarantee them an occupancy, and which is why I do not understand why Jeff Sessions came in and vetoed President Obama's order to stop private prisons for the federal government. Jeff vetoed it. Why? I don't know why.
Is it unjust? Or
Well,
what's his...
I don't know. I can't figure out. Well, I could, but I'd rather not say that because I don't know that to be true. But Jeff Sessions vetoed the president's order to stop private prisons for federal prisoners. But anyway, now here's another issue where I think that our government is in deep trouble. Truth is unimportant when it comes from the other side. Truth is there's no room for truth, and that's frustrating.
I find that true in a lot of areas.
Yeah, that's really frustrating. There has to be truth that can be that you can look at. Now, you just talk about what we were just saying about Donald Trump and what Jay said and what Steve said. There's no question that Donald Trump is a person of very questionable moral fiber. That's not a question. There's all kinds of evidence that shows that that's the case. But that becomes unimportant. And like I said, I am positive beyond the shadow of a doubt, Cliff, if that had been President Obama, they would have burned the White House down, getting him out of there.
Wow.
They would have never accepted that from him. Never in a million years. And
people shouldn't pray for truth because it doesn't line up with what they think.
And
it doesn't work.
No, but and here's another issue. We used to believe in government. Now, I admit libertarians and some conservatives have trepidations about government, but now we're into tribalism. We're not in the government anymore. We're in the tribalism. I'm either with the Republican tribe or the Democratic tribe. That's who my allegiance to.
There's no compromise.
Right. And this is what Jay was talking about earlier, which I agree with completely. When the heck does the American government get a chance to have the same level of concern as our tribes? There's a problem there. When the tribalism has superseded the concern for our government. And that's just too bad. And here's one more thing. We continue to press for tax cuts. Now, let me talk to you about what we're doing. If you own a house, okay, like I do, and many of you do, and you don't put some money in your house, the house will fall apart. So every time you press for a tax cut and it cuts money away from the federal government, how the heck are you going to take care of the airports, the rail systems, the highways, and the bridges? Please explain that to me. And we got Dominic on line one.
Hey, good evening, sir.
Yes, sir.
There's a whole thing about the fact that we still have the lowest percentage of voters of any major democracy in the world.
Correct.
In this particular election, more than 40% of the electorate just sat back, and it's due to something that I'm always ranting about: morals, manners, and civics. The function of government is supposed to be to ensure domestic tranquility. Well, that went off the rails right after World War II with exactly what Dwight Eisenhower said. The military-industrial complex should never be given nor seek political favor. 58 cents of every dollar you send to the government goes for war materials. And the scary part about it is there's a whole lot of that budget that we don't even know about. We have right now
military operations in 102 countries. And that's not hyperbole or exaggeration.
Oh, I know you're right because I've done
countries.
I've done the research. Yes, you're right.
And the thing that you were saying about Obama versus Trump, and I forget who said it, but somebody said Obama had to be twice as polite, twice as articulate, twice as everything. Do you know some of the statements? And I have a personal axe to grind with Donald Trump myself because his father stole the only house my father ever owned in Coney Island in a shady real estate deal. But that's neither here nor there. When you look at somebody who was elected president who has never done anything for anybody else but himself, I personally say America got exactly what it deserved. This might be the wake-up call for us to see that we are supposed to be what you were saying about tribalism and this whole thing about race. There's only one race, the human race. And these clowns up here now who, this is not a good time to talk about climate change. This is inappropriate. We have more important things to do. We have to take these corporations who don't pay any taxes anyway and lower their taxes because they're the ones who own us and put us in office. So never mind a word that they say, just watch what they do. But thank you, Mr. Howard. I really appreciate your show. And I'm going to call your office soon and change my insurance to Rudy Howard.
Wow. Thank you, Dominic. Great
Dominic.
call.
I appreciate it.
And I'm not just saying that.
I'm a published poet. I have 6 books of poetry out, and I've been saying this for a long time.
You got to turn your radio down, though, because it doesn't work like that. Yeah, I'm hearing the delay.
Okay.
I'm hearing the delay.
Well,
thank you, Dominic. We got to go because we're done here.
Yeah, we're done. Boy, that was a good call, Dominic. Thank you.
Wow. Hey, we had several great, outstanding calls.
Yeah. Dominic laid it all out there, though. He laid it all out there.
For more information about any insurance questions you might have at this time out following the storm, Rudy, what's your office phone number?
343-9878. And you can call and ask me a question, whether you have insurance with me or not. I'll be more than happy to help you because, like I said, I'm kind of unusual. I'm an agent with extensive claim background. So feel free to call and ask me a question. I'll be happy to help you.
You know what? Before he was an agent, he was an adjuster.
Yes.
Those guys work on ground zero, so he's got that experience too, folks.
Yeah, and I'd like to thank you so much. God bless and be safe, and I'll see you right here next week for the African American Scene.
The African American Scene is presented by Howard Insurance of Port St. Lucie and hosted by Rudy Howard every Wednesday night in the 6 o'clock hour.